Yo, it's me, Julio. Katie isn't here right now because we did forget to record an introduction for Jessica's video because we had already started with a great conversation with Jessica, and I did not want to stop the footage just to do an introduction at the time. Anyways, let's go to the podcast.
No, it was school.
School?
I put that on pause so many times. The first time when I found out I was pregnant with Michael. The second time when we found out that I needed to be more of an advocate for Michael, for his school. I put that on pause there. And then I finally returned during the pandemic, and that's when I finished my undergrad. And I was scared that when the deaths that happened in our family was going to put this goal of mine on pause. I just shoved all my emotions down because I said in my mind I was like, I would do this for my child because my child just is above all means everything to me. I cannot let these other things, not that they weren't important, they were very important, but I can't let them make this be on pause again. And that's why right away I applied for the master's program, because even though I know higher education isn't for everyone, but it is for me.
So I have a question. What's a memory from your childhood that still makes you smile? Like a core memory?
When I was 3 years old, my mom took me to Mexico. It was just me and her. Raph didn't exist at the moment, and and my dad didn't go. And it was really nice because I think it was only us women there. So it was really nice being able to play and go as far as possible and people not really notice how far I went off.
Julio, what is a core memory from childhood that you would want to share?
I don't have any.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The only times that I remember something positive is when we would go to McDonald's when I would come home after a test. I don't know if you remember that. Sometimes, because my mom used to work at McDonald's, sometimes on the way home we would go to McDonald's. What about you?
I was scared for the question to turn to me. I don't know. I don't know if this is necessarily a good core memory, but where your mom lives now. So you know how she has a lot of steps in her house? So I remember one time me and Jason were playing on the stairs, and you sit on the stair and you go down, like that. And then, so we'll bleep the name, but where Tia Leticia's house is, that stair. I was at the top, and we were playing that game, and I went first, and I went all the way down,
I think I heard of this because I remember someone when I came home or they were like, Katie fell.
I remember when we lived there, we used to go to, was it McCarran Park? A lot, and we used to ride the bicycles and play with the water balloons. All my good memories are from there. Yeah, and then everything goes downhill from there. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
I remember when they first made the pool.
Oh, the McCarran pool?
Yeah, I remember my mom would go
with
my sisters.
Yeah, I remember that. But back then I was a mom then, and I wasn't going as a child. And I would take Michael too.
I did want to ask about becoming a mom at such a young age. You said we were kids and you were having your own kid at that time.
Yeah,
what did it feel like to become a mom?
I don't think I was scared. Because when I found out I was pregnant with Michael, I was 18. My idea back then was to put school to the side and then just focus on maybe working my job. I wasn't scared. I was yeah, I'm ready. I was not ready. I think when I was 7 months or 8 months pregnant, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna become a mom. How is that? And that was scary because I think that's when I realized, oh, this baby is coming soon. I don't know how it's gonna be like. I think the first couple months were kind of a blur for me after I had Michael. But I did have my mom to ask questions about you know, I think this was a different time too for both of us, because like she had other expectations of what she wanted me to be. And I think when you have expectations on your child and they don't, not that they don't meet them, but somewhere along the lines things just happen to change, it's also hard for the other person. So while it was hard for me because I was like, oh my god, now I'm experiencing this as a mom, I think it was also hard for my mom. This is new for me, as in seeing you as a mom and making decisions, and then me wanting to ask for support, but then at times she would get upset. Not always happy with my decisions, but like I do feel like becoming a mom made me confident. Making decisions, yes, but also setting boundaries.
What's like a piece of advice you would give like a young mom?
I would say you have to take care of yourself first and not feel guilty about it, because in order for you to be a present mom, you have to be well rested. In supporting yourself, you have to have like a village too. So being able to like also find your village, like, you know, have those people around to support you while you take care of yourself, so that they can step in whenever you can't, you know, be available. Your mom shared that I'm pregnant now. Yeah. I don't know if Katie knew that I was pregnant.
Wait, you are? Wait, congratulations.
So like, just an example now, right?
Yeah.
Which is not how it was the first time around. Right. Because I didn't live with Isma. I lived with my mom, which is another story. He's very supportive. Like, he knows I'm not feeling good about a lot of things, so he helps out. And I know he's tired at times, but he will help, right? And then I know, like, in our culture, and I'm not just talking about our family, but in general, women don't really get the help that they need. Like, they're still expected to cook, clean, even if they're uncomfortable, even if they're not feeling well, right? Yeah. So I think a lot, like, I know, like, we're on the older side now, because that's what I was told yesterday at the hospital. But back then, obviously, since I was a first time mom, like, I didn't know what to expect. So I didn't ask for help. And I was just like, and I would feel moody and I would cry and I would be upset. And like, everyone was like, I don't know, we don't know how to help you. I don't know if it's the age or everyone's just more understanding now. But I do feel like that there's more of a village now. I don't know how Michael will feel. I mean, but like, I do feel like since Michael is on the older side, he's gonna be more of a
accepting.
I think accepting, you know, it'd be more of a, he's like another adult watching, or it wouldn't be like how, like Julio's sisters, that they play together and then maybe they fight or they make up and then they're back to fighting again.
Yeah, it'd be different.
I don't think it'd be like that.
It's exciting. I don't know. Like, having a new baby is gonna like change things and change the dynamics here, but like, it's like a good change. So it's like,
I also feel like it'll be kind of like starting again. Like, I mean, I know it's starting again, obviously, because there's a new baby, but like, kind of like the same experience as having Michael. Yeah. Minus the, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe it'll be like something similar to what your mom went through, right?
No, that's literally what I was thinking, because I was like, she had a 18-year-old gap from having me and then Lucas, so it's like, you're like a new mom again. Like, you forgot probably 18 years ago how to change a diaper. So it's like, it's gonna be new for you. Yeah. It's exciting. The
baby. With this pregnancy, I am very nauseous, very disgusted by a lot of things. I'm always tired. I work with kids too, which it doesn't make it easier. I mean, it's been fine. Like, I've taught the kids to do things so that they need less of me.
Do you want to explain to the audience what you're studying?
Currently, I'm a teacher already, but I need to be licensed in New York in order to teach on my own. I am in a master's program, and it's a dual program. It's for general education and special education. Specific area that I teach is Montessori, social emotional, and Spanish. And Montessori is basically a lot of independence, and a lot of fostering that independence. Social emotional, being able to like teaching children about their feelings and being able to express that. Children at that age don't really talk, so we do a lot of sign language. So like when we talk about boundaries in that age group, they don't know about boundaries, so we have to teach them, like, and sometimes children don't want hugs, right?
Right.
So something that I will show a child in my class would be like, if you want a hug, you can do this, and maybe your other friend will say yes, right? And
yeah.
then you can hug. Or maybe holding hands, or let's do high fives. But I also teach them, like, there's also other ways to be together without hugging. So maybe playing in the kitchen together is okay to do. So you can say play.
There's no manual to be a mom, so I feel like asking questions of like people that already went through that, it's like a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always happy to help whenever that time comes for you.
It's kind of a difficult conversation for me to be in because I don't see myself having kids. Just because, like you said, when I was younger, my sister's being born, it was very difficult for me to not feel like a lot of responsibility was put on top of me.
That's also important because it shows the different ideas, right?
Yeah.
I have Michael, and I will have another child soon, and that's okay. That's a life choice I made, right?
Yeah.
And my life revolves around kids because I'm a teacher, but like, you know, and Katie wants to have kids eventually, and you know, she's fond of Luca, but like also like that's also acceptable too, like that understanding that you don't want that because of your experience with your sister.
Because I was basically a only child until I was 10, right? So it was a huge change, especially at 10 years old. I don't know, I feel like that gave me a negative outlook on children. Like,
too many children.
Yeah.
Too many children, and they bring about this change that I wasn't ready for. It wasn't just like the addition of a family member, because we ended up moving a lot because of it. For me, when I was 10, 11, 12, whatever, there was a lot of change and frequent change, so it never felt like I was secure in a place. So I don't know,
That's a totally valid point. I hear you. I think it really says a lot about where you were at 10 years old. Like you were very aware, and obviously that awareness you carry that with you so they and you're like, I'm happy where I'm at. That no changes to me.
Yeah.
This is my life, and I'm okay with it, and that's great. I mean that you're able to acknowledge that in your life now. But I'm also okay with, like, if this is how the rest of my life is, I'm okay with it too.
When I was in school, right now I'm taking a break from college, but like when I was in school, it was always like, I always felt this pressure of like having to have it be going like a certain way or have it be perfect, kind of. And then when things wouldn't go well, it would kind of stress me out more. So I'm still learning of kind of letting go of that control and like not having everything go the way it's planned or the way I think it should be planned. But that's why I like running. I don't have to think about anything. I just put on music. I don't think, and I get to look at nice trees or flowers or whatever. And it's like, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I think running started like that for me. Well, actually, no, I'm lying. I had this bucket list that when I turned 29, I was like, okay, I'm going to be 30 next year. I need to do all these things by that time, right? And running a marathon was one of them. So I never really got to experience what you're experiencing. Just running for fun. It was more like, I need to do this because if not, then I won't get to do the marathon. And then the day of the marathon, I think that was the only day that I really got to enjoy running, because like there were people there, everybody shouting. I had friends that went to visit me at different stations, which was nice. So it was just fun seeing them, and then I had like two of my bosses met me too. So things like that was nice.
Yeah.
and then when I got to like, there's a certain part, and I mean, if you do eventually pursue this, you'll hear runners talk about this too, like that there's the 20-mile wall, where once you get to mile 20, that's it. You like burned your whole your reserves for that day.
Right.
And it becomes like a mental battle, like, do I want to do this, or should I just stop right here?
Right.
And it's also painful. Like, I literally felt like my feet were broken. My actual feet were broken. I did have to take ibuprofen, and like there's like a station where they pour like I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of like a numbing spray.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I was able to do it.
Wow.
But and then I did have plans to do them the next year, but like again, that's when the pandemic hit, and that's when everything was really uncertain, and I didn't do it. And that was it.
Wow. Because I am thinking of doing it, and like one of like my therapists, I guess, he mentioned to like that there's like you can pace yourself when you walk and when you run or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about walking, but when you're running, I've heard of that, pacing yourself.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to have a conversation with someone while you're running. And if you can comfortably have that conversation with someone while you're running, then you're running at a good pace.
Right.
But if you're like
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm looking at Julio to see if he wants to say anything.
What about you, Julio? Have you ever, like, maybe not running, but anything in particular that would require you to, I guess, some type of effort or dedication? Have you found anything like that?
Not something that I'm passionate about, but I was definitely also running, but it wasn't something that I told anyone. But it would be like in the morning I would run for a mile, and it was always just 1 mile. And if I went at night, I would just run for like an hour. And in the morning it was just a mile, just because there was a lot of people there. And at night, I just felt like it was more freeing to just continue going without like no one noticing me giving that effort. You know, like even though my strides were like slow or like dragging my feet, just so I could hit like 1 hour and seeing how much distance I could go. But that was only when I was like 23, 24. And it was because I gained a lot of weight really fast during that time. And I always struggled with my weight. So, but at that time I got up to like 250. I think I'm 250 right now. No, but I got up to 250, but I was like 190 like right before I got up to 250. And that was within the span of like 2 months or 3. So it was a lot of weight really fast. So I dealt with it very, very negatively, like running a lot just to lose a lot of weight. And it helped for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Like I did lose all the weight. I think I got down to 180.
Oh, okay.
So it helped but because I was doing it the wrong way, I wasn't like eating properly. I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't taking care of myself properly. So, I got injured, I guess. So then I stopped, and I never went back again. So I gained all the way back over 5 years, but
right. It was more gradual than the first time.
Yeah.
I think I had the opposite experience. I think I gained weight. I remember looking at pictures in the beginning of when I first started running, and I was doing those at-home workouts that my mom does.
Yeah.
And I lost weight, and I guess I had like I don't know. I think I lost maybe, not a significant amount, but I did feel stronger.
Yeah.
And that's when I started running. But while I was running, you get all this information from other runners, like you should be eating starchy foods, you should be eating pastas and pizza and things like that. And because like you're burning carbs and whatever. And by the time I ran the marathon, I think I had gained maybe like 25 pounds from the time that I started to when I was actually running the marathon. Yeah. That's like what ended up happening to me.
It started like the thing that your mom does, and then like I don't know if it's just me, but whenever somebody's like over encouraging you, like in those videos, it's like it does the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
I don't listen to them. I kind of just block them out. I put music on.
Yeah.
And I do whatever they tell me to do.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to it. I feel the same way. I feel like, because I'm like, I know I'm going to see you again tomorrow and you're going to say the same thing. Like, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
That's why I just prefer like putting on my headphones and like probably listening to something else and then watching whatever workout. But yeah.
That's why I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stick with running. I don't have to hear anyone else's voice.
That's so true.
Yeah. But then like I'm gonna start going back to the gym, and like I miss the gym. I think we talked about it in the last episode too, of just like needing, I guess, that you're taking care of your body, but it's also like that's your alone time. I don't want anyone else there. It's just like that's my me time. Yeah.
That's good though.
Do you have something like that now, where it's like you only do it by yourself?
Not anymore. I mean, it sounds, I don't know, typical or normal, but I used to get my nails done, which was like, but again, I didn't want people to talk to me, so I would just put my headphones on and like, okay, I don't know, maybe something like that. I don't do them now because I don't know how much it'll affect the pregnancy, so I'm just
because like of the fumes.
Yeah, so I just don't do that. Sometimes I go for walks by myself. But sometimes it's like, if I'm being honest, no.
What inspires you to do what you do?
Children inspire me. The reason why children inspire me is because I'm inspired not only by my experiences as a child in Mexico, like what I shared, which was like my core being outside, which aligns with like how I teach. Like we teach outside too, for the most part of the day. But like the experience I lived as a mom with Michael as a child. In general, I'm inspired by childhood, because in childhood, things are so free. There's no high expectations. You can just be who you are. Like this is something that I felt that was part of who I am. Like being able to tap into, childhood, and then if anyone was to ever question or say like, oh, why are you acting like that? I'm just pretending like the kids. Like, no one's gonna say anything to me. Like if you like, obviously you guys don't get to see that side of me, but in my classroom I play with them and I hop around, and I mean not right now, not anymore at this moment, but like we run, we play, we dance a little. Like I don't do that here with you guys or with my family, right? Mm-hmm. But like I'm able to be like, oh yeah, just dancing a little with the children, right? And it feels good for me. And it's also knowing, now that I'm in the master's program, it's also knowing that the kids are going to end up growing and be adults, right? And they're going to be, like, what kind of adults would we want? Do we want, like, more of what we have now? Or do we want, like, a change? And it's sad because you don't want to put that burden on children. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're the change. But maybe I'm the change by being this way with the children, right? So, and then taking that burden off of kids. Because I feel like this world, if there's anything wrong happening in the world, that was set in place from the people before us, right? And I think it's a burden to have that on children. Like, you guys are the future. Oh, you guys are the change of the world. No, that's too much for kids.
Before that, what inspired you?
Since I don't think I was fine with myself and I was already burned out, I was just kind of, like I said before, I was just kind of trying to fill voids by going out or hanging out with friends. And then also like saying, okay, I had my me time. Now I have to fight. Now I have to email people. Now I have to like make sure Michael's fine and Michael's supported at school. And then I'm working and then I'm running. So I don't think anything was really... I think, or if something was inspiring me, it was maybe the illusion of people seeing like, oh, she's doing a lot. Look at her. Yeah. She's doing it all. Great for her.
I've noticed a theme when you talk about your life. You talk about people's perceptions of you. Do you think that's negatively impacted you?
For sure. I mean, people think, and I mean, not people, your mom thinks, because she shared this with me. She's always said like, oh, you're so strong, right? And I think that might be a perception. I'm not sure, because I don't think anyone's ever said that to me besides your mom. I do think it showed up again while I was in undergrad school. Like around the time that, I don't know if you guys want to talk about this, but like the 2 deaths in our family that occurred very close in time, right? A lot of it was like, oh, I have to be there for my mom, because, I mean, it wasn't like this. This wasn't like what I was thinking, but maybe unconsciously I was showing this, like, I have to be there for my mom because the family needs to see me there. And I was struggling with classes, and like it wasn't, I was a full-time student. I was working full-time already as an assistant teacher. I'm also like a parent, and the wife part was not even a thing that I was really working on anymore, because I was like, that's like, I can't do that right now. It was just me trying to do those things. But like a lot of it was like, yeah, people need to see me do well in a way. It was so draining for myself, because I was like, no, like I should be able to, like it's okay for me to say I can't do it today. Like I really gotta focus on my schoolwork. Or you know what, even if I didn't have schoolwork, I'm tired. Like it's okay for me to focus on getting rest, right? I remember during that time, like, you know what, I'll rest later. Like, I do consider myself a first generation kid of immigrant parents, and like being able to like show face for people, but then also like putting yourself all the way to the bottom because you got all these other tasks to do. I'm not sure if that's something that you guys feel, but like that's how I felt, right? Where I was like, oh, I really gotta like, I really have to like, and let everyone know like, I'm doing well.
In that story where you were talking about like being there for your mom, like when she needed you, but you're also having to do things and kind of just putting up like a front almost of like, oh yeah, I'm doing well, like for your mom. And then I think I was also the same way with my mom, and like if she needed me to be there, like I would be there for her, even if I have all these other things around. And it's a difficult time for everyone, right? Because you're also dealing with your own grief and your own emotions, but then you have to recognize that that's your mom's mom, and that's a lot to deal with. And it's also like during COVID time, so that was a I guess a lot for our whole family to go through. And like, at least for me in that time, I also I guess wasn't doing well, and I had all these things or expectations that I put on myself of like, I want everyone to see that I'm also doing well, and that I can do everything, even if everything is not going well, I guess.
But I feel like that's why it's also important to talk about it, because I don't think I ever talked to anyone about this until now. I mean, maybe I shared with these more like here and then, like, I'm tired, and I'm like, and then I remember like saying like, and maybe I don't know if this is gonna sound selfish, but I was like, it was something like for work, right, where they were asking me to do other things, and it just all hit me like, I'm tired too, like you're asking me to support you, but I'm also doing all these things, like no one cares about me. And I think that was selfish, because I'm sure people do care about me, and I think had I spoken up and said, hey, this is becoming a lot today, I can't do it, we don't want to have the conversations. But like, I think overall it's important so that people know where you're at. Like right now my cup is not full, so I can't like help you fill your cup at this moment, because I'm not even there for myself.
I'm getting used to it now, because I'm in so much therapy, and being so open with like basically strangers, or like it's meant to be where it's like it facilitates you to be open with people that you don't know. And like it's becoming easier for me to do that with people that I do know, and share those feelings and share those like hard moments in my life, and like talk about those things isn't as like dreadful as I thought it would be. Right? Yeah. So like it just becomes easier, and like it's also like a skill. If you practice that skill, it becomes easier. So like, yeah.
That is so true. That is really true. But I love when you say that, just because I do feel like I remember one time, because I don't see a therapist anymore, but for a really long time I saw this therapist, and she was amazing, and I loved her, and she's just off doing other things now, but she was really great when I had her. And I remember one time I told your mom, and she was like, I think I'll be really good for you, because you know, you kind of have a really bad attitude. And I was like, wait, so you just think I'm the only one that needs the therapy, not no one else? But I think it was great that you talk about that, because it's like it brings me back to the idea, like this is what it's for, right? To be able to have, like, you're able to have tough conversations with people you don't know, so that you can eventually have those same tough conversations with people you do know. Right? And you're able to, like, by that time you'll have the skills, right, to like navigate, like, however the conversation ends up being. Like, if it like takes on a good note, then great, but if it's going another way, then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna practice my boundary setting. I'm not gonna continue this conversation with you until we're at a more level-headed space. Also knowing, like, yeah, I'm upset with you, that doesn't mean I don't love you.
I feel like a lot of the times older generation people, they don't really have that emotional maturity to treat their children with like kindness, I guess, or to be like, hey, it's okay to feel this way, and like allow them to express their emotions, and like, you know.
You mentioning that part, oh my god. just one part that I want to talk about, that, because I do feel like that is so true. I feel like people within our community, when they see you speaking to a child with respect, and because respect doesn't mean that they're gonna run over you, and neither is kindness. It's just
Right.
you being the bigger person in the situation, but and also guiding the child through their
Yeah.
feelings and emotions. People in our community tend to think that's a white people thing, that only white people speak to their kids like that, when in reality that kind of parenting or that kind of way of dealing with children really is an indigenous thing. And being where we're from, which is from Mexico, we are part of that indigenous community, right? Because if you look at indigenous communities, right, they treat their resources with respect.
Right.
And that basically also mirrored the way they treated themselves and with other people within their community and the children. So going back to that, I feel like because of trauma and generations, like people now think like, no, like that's not how you should be talking to a child. Like a child is only to be seen, right? That's how people think. But in reality, if you really go back, like it really is a core part of who we are.
Julio's like, I don't want kids. I don't want anything to do with it.
No, Julio, that's totally fine.
No, that's true. I was like that too when Lucas was born. Like, I didn't want anything to do with Lucas. I was very upset. Yeah. But then now it's like, he's my little brother. So.
When you think about the future, what kind of memories are you hoping to create next?
Oh, man. I think as a mom, I look forward to seeing college Michael. How Michael will be in college. As a teacher, looking forward to like being a better teacher, not just for my students, but for the parents that I work with. Being able to give them that support, right, that has been given to me. Just as me, as Jessica, aside from these roles, I'm also really looking forward to like we were talking about, finding more hobbies or like something that helps me feel fulfilled. I want to go back to painting. I really do. That's something that I did in college.
As a cousin, I'm very proud that you're like taking the path of like becoming a teacher and like teaching kids like at a young age, and then like also your love for children and your love for like school. And like his mom said this yesterday when we were kind of going over like what should we ask Jessie, or like what's something but like you're the first in our family to as a woman to get your higher education degree, so like to me it was always very inspiring. Like, oh, Jessie's a mom. Jessie is like, I guess as a younger kid you view your cousins at like a pedestal almost, right? So it's like, oh my god, Jessie's doing all these things and she's a mom and she's going to school and she's working. So it's like, I'm very proud of you. So like, you know, when you were saying, oh, Tia Mari's the only one who's told me that I'm strong, I also think you're a very strong woman and a very strong person.
Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Oh, I never really thought of it being the first in our family. I always kind of like, oh well. I mean, I thought of it as first, as in, my mom, my dad, obviously, and my brother. Like, we had the first here. But I never really thought about like the whole family. Because I was just like,
right.
I got the other two. One cousin, right? That's already. And then I know, Julio, you have your degree too, right? So I was like, I'm not the first. But thanks for that, Katie. I appreciate it. I think also being a young mom. I mean, I don't know if it's just our family. I don't think it's our family per se, but I know it's within our culture. Like, if you have a young child at a young age, that's it. Your life is over. And I've heard that so many times from, not from our family, but like from people in general. Like I remember they had me. I remember this is my mom's cousin who I just not part of our family,
right.
But she is a cousin to the family, and she looked at me and she told me, talk to my daughter, tell her why she shouldn't have a kid at a young age, because then that's it, your life is over. Tell her that. And I already had Michael, and I'm like, I looked at her child, I was like, girl, you do what you want. Like, I'm not going to tell you anything. Right. And then I just left her there talking by herself. And I told my mom, I was like, she wanted me to tell her daughter that her life would be meaningless if she has a baby. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, because then that's saying that my life is meaningless. And I don't think that is the truth, right? I think whatever path we choose, there's meaning to it, right? And that, like, and it only has to mean something to you.
Right.
And I feel like if you want to scare your child into not having a child at a young age, then maybe you as a parent need to communicate that with your child. But don't scare them. Scare them straight or something, whatever. That doesn't help.
So we talked about you being a young mom, putting school on pause, going back to school, and now you're teaching. Mm-hmm. But you being able to, push through all of it, and even though you felt tired at times, being able to continue pursuing your passion, although you found your passion later on, you were still able to get to the place that you wanted to be. What advice do you have for people that are going through like tough situations that may not have as much guidance, or find it difficult to pursue what they want to do because of the situation that they're in?
Something that a therapist told me was that when you're in a tough situation, instead of seeing it like, oh my gosh, why are things happening to me? You can say, what can I learn from this, right? So if you're in a situation where it seems like no one's supporting you, like, okay, how can I support myself? Like that's what I'm going to learn now. So basically just asking yourself, what am I learning from this situation? But also knowing that not everyone's life has to go in a straight line, like how we've always been taught, right? Like you go to school, you graduate, you get a good job, then maybe you find someone, then you get married. Like things don't go like that. That's not how life is. And it's okay for things not to be that way. Coming to terms with that, like, I'm not going to put pressure on myself if I'm not. I wish I knew this too while I was like not in school, right? I wish I knew I wish I knew in that moment that yes, I'm not in school right now, but that doesn't mean I'm not going back, right? Because I would be dwelling on that idea like, oh, now I'm not in school, what am I going to do, right? Things don't have to happen in my 20s. They can happen later on too. Like going back to the cousin, right? Yeah. My life wasn't over because I had a child at a young age. I decided to have a child, and things weren't bad. They were just different. I wish I knew that then too, because then that would have taken a lot of pressure from me, and I probably would have been more level-headed when I was dealing with other situations in life.
Great episode. Thank you guys for watching.
What you said.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. This was really fun.
And we'll see you guys every Wednesday from now to the end of time.
What he said.
Bye.
Bye.